Welcome back. So, in the last video, we were looking at how we could use COUNTIF in order to tally up our data. And now I'm going to show you really quickly if you are checking to make sure you have not double counted and you counted everything. You want to make sure that your total here equals the amount of participants we had. So we had 56 participants here. I'm going to use an auto. You can use auto sum. Or yeah, the sum, and just highlight your data right there, and it's going to auto sum it for you. And there we go, 56 participants. And whenever I was doing this on my own time back in the spring, I originally didn't get 56. That's how I caught the space issue. That's how I caught the select all that applies issues. And my hopes is that this will help you save time avoiding those little pitfalls before your survey even goes out. Now, I like to compute the percents by hand. So I'm going to go ahead and show this in this video. Know that if you are using Excel spreadsheets and you are going to use the graphs, which I will show you, that if you do a pie chart, they will compute the percents for you. Now, in this situation, we want to make sure if for some reason we made an error and our data changes, we don't just type in 1.5 times. We want to use the cell. So if some reason the cell changes, it will update your percent that goes with that cell. So in this case, we have that divided by our total. And we want to make sure, like you'll notice, and if I go ahead and just compute that, we have a decimal. That decimal needs to be converted to a percent. And we convert any decimal to a percent by multiplying by 100. And I'll see I made a little typo, and that happens. Not 200, 100. So you'll take your amount of responses for that option, in this case, are 1.5, dividing it by your total amount of participants, and then multiplying by 100 to convert that decimal to a percent. And now that is correct. We just keep on keeping on doing this. Equals, parentheses, your total number of responses for 1 to 2 servings divided by your total number of participants multiplied by 100 to convert that decimal. So in this case, we'll have our wrong cell selected. We'll back at that. We are dealing with this divided by this multiplied by 100. And here, the same thing. We are going to take this total number of responses divided by the total number of responses for 6 to 10 servings divided by the total number of participants multiplied by our 100 here. And if you want to check if your percents are correctly done, like if you made an error somewhere, you go ahead and you write sum again. And you're going to sum that up, and it equals 100. 100% tells us check. The fact that those percents add up to 100 tells us that we did this correctly. So now that we have our data set, we want to make sure that we create visuals to go with this. So a good way to visual this type of information is with a pie chart. So you're just going to highlight your body information. You do want to make sure that if you're originally when I computed this, I had skipped a cell between the titles and the total. Whenever you are converting that to a graph in this method, it will cause a little bit of an error there. So make sure there are no gaps. One little pitfall to look out for. And then you just go straight to. So notice I'm only also highlighting the data that is going to be compiled into this graph. The total is not something, if you put that in there, it will get confused. And it will try to make it one of the options. So we just go insert, and we are going to hit a pie chart in this case. And right there is our chart immediately brought up to go with our data. Now, if you want to change this, the color, the title, you just double click it, and then you're going to come over here to our chart title. And in this case, our chart title is how much meat do you consume per week? And there we go. Change that. I like my important information to be shown on my graph, like the percents. So you'll notice that there is a legend That is at the bottom. So if you look under Format and go down to Data Labels. So Format and Data Labels, you'll notice that is turned off here. Yours may already be turned on, but you want to make sure that's ticked on if you want to see your data. Now in this case, the account doesn't make sense on a pie chart alone. Yeah, it looks a little, weird, a little confusing. Now, I will leave those values on there with the percentages, but generally on a pie chart, if I show, see, the more information, it gets more clutter. There's a lot of things that we can do. Yeah, so in this way, I generally use MATLAB in order to make my graphs. I wouldn't show my value here, and I would just do the graphs. I would just do the percentages. I would not show the value here. I would just do the percentages. But since we didn't show the value here, we may want a situation in which we do show that to the reader of our work. And a good way to show values compared is through a bar graph. So we can do the same thing. We can highlight the same body of information. We can go to insert. In this kind, you are going to see they got the clustered column bar graphs. There's a variety of ways that you can do that. And again, it's going to create you another chart. And so highlight, insert, and go over to your bar chart. We're going to go ahead and take that same title, how much meat do you consume per week? And this time we are looking at the count rather than the percentages. So it's going to have that there, but I like to show my count on my graph. You can again go to Format. So you double click, Format, come down here and toggle on the data and table. You'll notice it puts the count right there below. And then you can also change the colors of this in this area from here. But if you wanted to show your data in a quick snapshot for how much meat do you consume per week based on the students who responded to our survey at the beginning of the fall semester. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time on going over graphs. There will be another video over how to compile your data using different formula. So if you'll stay tuned for that, thank you so much for your time.